Welcome back to another episode of the Mana Drain Podcast. I'm your host, Logan, and with me today, as always, is my good friend and co-host, Christian. Christian, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. What do you got lined up for us tonight?
I have a deck tech for y'all on a commander that has just been spoiled from the Warhammer 40k universe. Yeah, I'm pretty stoked. I believe you had sent me a message about it last night, and you're like, hey, there's this pretty good new commander coming out. Because the other ones seem kind of lackluster, and I think this one has some definite potential for the higher range of competitive Magic, I guess you could say.
Yeah, there's a couple cards I've seen that are like worth playing. A lot of the other ones look pretty bad so far, in my opinion, at least. No,
I agree. So we'll get right into it. I won't tease anybody here. That's not nice. The card that we're going to be doing a deck tech for today is Magus Lucea Kane. It is 1 green, blue, red teamer. Legendary creature, human tyrannid wizard. Spiritual leader. At the beginning of your combat on your turn, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. Psychic stimulus. Tap, add 2 colorless. When you next cast a spell with X in its mana cost, or activate an ability with X in its activation cost this turn, copy that spell or ability. You may choose new targets for that copy. So right off the gate. Oh, and she's a 1/1. She's very tiny.
I never realized that she's a 1/1.
Yeah, super small. But she has a pretty good ability. Plus she can buff herself. So I mean, when she comes in, she can make herself a 2/2, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But right out the gate, I think that there's some very good opportunities for spell slinging. Especially some combo magic that we're going to be talking about tonight. So, we're just going to kind of go over the general synopsis of what we're going to be trying to do. We're going to be looking for our X spells that tutor for our combo, specifically some creature combos, maybe some artifact combos sprinkled in there with the X spells that they have in blue. No direct damage. I think that the deck is geared towards creature-based winning. Just it happens a lot faster, and we don't have to worry about generating a ton of mana.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of our goal for this deck, is to be able to get our tutors, cast them as fast as possible, to copy them and grab our 2-card combos and just win. So yeah, some basic things. Obviously, we want ramp. Yeah, so we're running in green and red. And so for ramp wise, we'll have your mana dorks, and you'll have your red spells that give you mana, your
rituals.
Your rituals. Blue, I mean, you have High Tide, which is 1 blue. Your island's tap for an extra blue, but we're not looking to tap it. We're not looking to go that route.
Yeah, up until they run a blue Urborg, High Tide's more of a mono blue card.
Exactly. So yeah, Land of War Elves, Bird of Paradise, Elvish Mystic. They're all 1-drop for green. That tap to add a mana.
Yep. And then this is a 3-color deck, so Birds of Paradise is nice because it taps for all colors, and then Elvish
Mystic taps for green.
Taps
Are you
for green.
thinking of
Arbor Elf?
Arbor Elf.
I'm thinking of Arbor Elf, so that's nice when you have like dual lands out too, or whatever, like Tropical Island.
I know we're running Bloom Tender, which is 1 in a blue, and then 1 in a blue. What am I saying? 1 in a green. It's tap for each color among permanents you control. Add 1 mana of that color. So you'll
in a 3-color deck. This is a 2-mana card that taps for 3 sometimes.
Especially if you have your commander out, you're able to get 1 of each of your colors, which is very useful. We're going to be running Mana Rocks, your typical high-end,
the normal stuff you'd see in
rocks.
like higher end Magic. So Mana Vault, Soul Ring, Mana Crypt, Jewel Lotus.
There's some other good stuff that we'll go over later, but I think that the general idea for our CEDH lists is you're going to be able to run your best artifacts on your best ramp. Overall, your best cards.
Especially with a 4-costed commander.
Yeah, it's super important to try and get her out. Oh, that's another thing I wanted to talk about was you want to try and get her out, I imagine, between turns 2 and 3. If you could power her out on turn 1, but it'd be super hard and you'd have no gas left in your hands.
Yeah, there's no point.
So I think that turns 2 and 3, probably shooting towards 3 because you might have a chance to cast your Mystical Tutor to grab your X spell on turn 2.
Mm-hmm.
Or get her out by turn 2 while casting your Mystical Tutor so that turn 3 you can combo off.
Yep.
And then you got your Elvish Spirit Guide and Simian Spirit Guide just for your burst mana.
They basically act as rituals.
Yep. But yeah, let's get into our first kind of category here and talk about what X tutors that we're going to be running to get our deck going to get to our combos.
Yeah.
So Christian, do you want to start us off with the first one?
Yeah, so the first one we're going to be running is Green Sun Zenith. It is a sorcery for 1 green and X. Search your library for a green creature card with mana value X or less, put it into the battlefield, then shuffle Green Sun Zenith into its owner's library. So all the X spells that we're going to be running in this deck kind of follow the same thing. They're going to search for a permanent and put it into play. So with the commander, you can copy that and just grab 2 combo pieces and put them into play.
Yeah. And when we're talking about these X spells, we're talking about it in the average case scenario where you're going to be able to copy it.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of thinking in the headspace of just getting that exponential value out of it when we're talking about these is important. The next one we got is Finale of Devastation, which is X and 2 green pips. It's a sorcery, and it says, search your library and or graveyard for a creature card with converted mana cost X or less, and put it on the battlefield. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. If X is 10 or more, creatures you control get +X and gain haste until end of turn. So this could be, if you got enough mana in the late game, say you had to fight through some counterspell magic earlier, and you just got a ton of mana laying out, right, you easily could cast this as a finisher. But also early game, we're grabbing our tutors with it.
Yeah, our combo pieces, yeah.
One thing to note, Finale does grab any creature with the converted mana cost X or less.
Where
Green Sun Zenith is only green.
Yep. And also this tutors your graveyard as well. So
correct.
You can grab pieces if someone had an answer before.
Yep. The next one we're going to talk about, Christian, I was kind of caught off guard because we are super creature based. But I think it still serves a purpose in order to get some pieces out. So why don't you want to talk about that one?
Yeah. So the next card we have is Reshape. It is 2 blue and X for a sorcery. As an additional cost to play Reshape, sacrifice an artifact. Search your library for an artifact card with converted mana cost X or less and put it into play. Then shuffle your library. So again, same as the other 2 cards, except this just grabs artifacts.
Yep. And if you're not trying to combo out with your artifact combo, like someone has something that says artifacts can't be activated or something like that. Obviously in your meta, if you're playing against a deck that you know runs cards like that, you could probably try and run some hate pieces that you've teched in for your own personal play style. But for us, this is going to be grabbing a combo to win.
Mm-hmm.
The next card is Court of Calling. It is X and 3 green. Instant. So if we want to try and play on someone else's turn and try possibly win on someone else's turn,
right,
we could try to do that. It is Convoke, which means your creatures can help pay for each generic in the mana cost. So since it's X, you can tap 4 creatures and it'll pay for 4 mana.
And if you tap green creatures, it actually also covers the green pips as well.
Yep. But then it also reads, search your library for a creature card where converted mana costs X or less and put it onto the battlefield. Then shuffle your library. So same as Finale Devastation without the pump effect. Just another good tutor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who are we kidding? All of them are good tutors because of the vacuum that we're running them in, where they're getting copied each time.
All these cards see play outside of this weird combo.
They're just genuinely good cards.
Mm-hmm.
You want to read us to the next one? I'm sorry. It seems like you got both the blue ones.
The blue ones, yeah. So the last one we have here is called Whir of Invention. It is X and 3 blue, and it has Improvise, similar to Convoke. You can tap your artifacts to help pay for the spell. And it has search your library for an artifact card with converted mana cost X or less, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. So just another reshape, basically, except you don't have to sack an artifact as an additional cost.
The same thing as Court of Calling with the Improvise, with the like Convoke on Court of Calling. But obviously there are other things that you could slot in. If you want to run more direct damage, you certainly could slot in some X spells that focus more on X damage and stuff. Personally, I think that creature-based strategies right now are pretty underplayed. And I think that they go under the radar pretty easily.
Yeah. And a card I've been seeing a lot more in competitive lists is Shatter Skull Smashing. Mm-hmm. It's on the front, it's 2 red and X, I believe, and it deals X damage divided among any number of targets. And the backside is a land that taps for red, and you can pay 3 life to have it come in untapped. But it's just another land in your deck that has the versatility of being a kill spell.
Yeah.
And this deck just kind of feels that even more.
Yeah. I think, it's included on the list just a little later, but I think just in general, that land is really good.
Yeah. Do we want to get into the combos?
Oh,
that we're looking for with these cards?
You know it. Yeah. Do you want to go over the first one?
Yeah, I can do that. So the first combo we're going to be looking at is an artifact combo. So the Whir of Invention and Reshape is going to grab this one for you. And the number you're going to be looking for to cast X for is 2, which is pretty cheap. So you will activate your commander, tap for 2 colorless, spend the 2 colorless into X, pay for the rest of the spell, and then you get to copy it. You grab 2 artifacts, and the 2 we're going to be grabbing is Painter Servant and Grindstone. Oh yeah, it's really blurry.
It's really blurry on our cheat sheet. So
yeah. So Painter Servant is a 2 mana 1/3 artifact creature Scarecrow. As Painter Servant enters the battlefield, choose a color. All cards that aren't on the battlefield, spells, and permanents are the chosen color in addition to their other colors. And then Grindstone is a 1 mana artifact. It has the ability of 3 tap. Target player mills 2 cards. If 2 cards that share a color were milled this way, repeat the process. So since Painter Servant makes all cards in your library the chosen color, you can honestly name whatever color. Maybe stay away from blue just because people run Pyroblast and Red Elemental Blast. Unless you're running those cards, then you can name blue.
Then you can feel safe, yeah.
But yeah, since they mill 2 cards that share a color, that mills them out. And that just insta kills 1 player. But we have some untap effects in the deck or whatever, so you can possibly
you could possibly kill all 3 people. So the next combo involves Kikijiki Mirror Breaker. We've talked about him in our last deck tech with Miria. Mm-hmm. He's going to be talked about in almost every list that has red and is going through creature-based strategy wins.
Yep. And since we're running blue this time, on top of green and red, we also get to run some more efficient combos with him.
Yep, some cheaper combos. So Kikijiki Mirror Breaker is 2 and 3 red, legendary creature Goblin Shaman, has haste. You can tap it, create a token that's a copy of target non-legendary creature you control. That token has haste, sacrifice at the beginning of the next end step, and is 2/2.
And the next card in this combo is called Pestermite. It is 2 and a blue for a creature fairy rogue. It is a 2/1 with flash and flying. When Pestermite enters the battlefield, you may tap or untap target permanent. So when this enters the battlefield, you're just going to untap your Kikijiki, tap Kikijiki, make another Pestermite. That will untap Kiki, and it just makes infinite 2/1 flyers with haste.
Yeah.
Since Kiki gives the creature you copy haste.
Yep. Super efficient. More efficient than a combat celebrant. Cheaper.
Mm-hmm. And again, another 2-card creature combo, so that your Court of Calling, your Finale of Devastation will grab this.
Yep. And you have to pay 5 into those in order to get them out.
Yep, because Kiki is 5.
But you're gonna be getting 2 colorless off of your commander, anyways. So you really got to come up with like 5 mana at base, which is pretty cheap for getting an infinite win.
If you have 4 mana to cast your commander, we assume you would have 5 mana on the following turn.
Yeah, and with how many mana artifacts that we're running in this list,
it's not going to be hard to get there.
No. Yeah, so the next combo we're going to go over, Christian, I'll let you handle this one because it's a long one.
Alrighty. So this one is going back to the Kiki line, but this one lets you grab it with your artifact X tutors. So with Reshape or Whir of Invention. And what you're going to do is cast either of them where X equals 4 and copy it with Lucea. So what you do first is activate Lucea and then cast Reshape or Whir of Invention for X equals 4. And what you're going to grab is a Birthing Pod and a Spellskite. Spellskite is a 2 mana 0/4 artifact creature Phyrexian Horror, and it has an ability of 1 blue Phyrexian mana. Change the target of spell or ability to Spellskite. And then Birthing Pod is 3 and 1 Phyrexian green for an artifact, and it has 1 and Phyrexian green. You tap it and sacrifice a creature, and then you search your library for a creature card with convert a mana cost equal to
1 plus the sacrifice creature's converted mana cost.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And then you put that card on the battlefield and then shuffle your library, and you can only activate this ability at sorcery speed. Sorry, the picture that we have set up on the cheat sheet again was super blurry, so I was helping Christian out.
Yep. So once you grab those 2 creatures, what you're going to do is right away activate Birthing Pod to sacrifice your Spellskite and grab a creature with 3 CMC and put it into play, and that creature is going to be Pestermite. And when Pestermite enters the battlefield from your library, it will tap or untap target permanent. So what you want to do is untap Birthing Pod so you can activate it again to sack your commander, which is 4 CMC, so you'll be able to go grab something that costs 5. And Kikijiki just so happens to be 5 CMC.
No way.
So you can put Kikijiki into play. It has haste, and you've got your other combo piece, the Pestermite.
And you can do this all at, well, not at instant speed because Birthing Pod's sorcery, but.
Oh yeah, Birthing Pod you can only activate as a sorcery.
But people aren't necessarily going to be expecting this line. Personally, if they see you cast a Reshape, you're in Teamer, so you can grab quite a bit.
Yep. And the nice thing about this combo, it's only 1 spell being cast, so they need other forms of interaction to deal with this.
They need counter-activated abilities and other, like you said, other forms of interaction that are harder to come by. So,
yep. And I think the one downside to this line is that you do have to sack your commander in the process, so if someone has any interaction to stop your combo, it blows you out of the game pretty badly.
If someone Crossing Grips your Birthing Pod, you're kind of screwed.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, super narrow things that could happen, but you have to be on your toes in competitive EDH just because there are people running things that you think that people should be running, and lo and behold, they are running what you expect them to. There are times where you could come across people who aren't running what you think that they should have in their deck, but it's important to always have an open mind and always be, I guess, gauging your opponents.
Yeah. You always want to, like, especially in more competitive play, you want to read the room. And
and there's no rules against asking. Like, I'll go. We would play down in Indianapolis, and I'd ask people straight up, like, so what's that deck about?
Yeah.
And we would all. I wouldn't hide information. I would talk about my deck as well because I'm not a shady person. But it gave me the insight I needed to know what I needed my game plan to be. So side tangent, but it's important stuff to kind of be thinking about, especially if you're running a long birthing combo where there is places for interaction. Let it, even though it's very slight, but you should be prepared for it.
Right.
The next combo we got here is a fun little combo. It is Ivy Lane Denizen and Scurry Oak. So Ivy Lane Denizen is 3 and a green. Creature Elf Warrior. It is whenever another green creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. It is a 2/3. And Scurry Oak reads 2 and a green, creature Tree Folk, evolve. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, if that creature has greater power or toughness than this creature, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. Whenever one or more 1/1 counters are put on Scurry Oak, you may create a 1/1 green squirrel creature token. That is and Scurry Oak is a 1/2. So,
and notably, these are both green creatures. So not only can you grab this with Finale and Devastation and Court of Calling, but you can also grab this with
Green Sun Zenith.
Yep.
My apologies for cutting you off. I just got so excited.
Oh yeah,
because it hits all 3 of our boxes.
Yep.
Yeah. So obviously you will want to have Ivy Lane Denizen out, and then lay Scurry Oak, and then Ivy Lane will trigger on the Scurry Oak, and so on and so forth.
if you're hard casting it,
if you're hard casting, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, when you grab it off of a Court of Calling or whatever, you choose how they ETB. So, but yeah, super good combo. Just makes a bunch of squirrels, and it makes Scurry Oak really big. Yeah. So next, we're gonna kind of talk about how we get to our creature tutors, because obviously we want to have as many reoccurring actions in our deck to make it flow super easily. So some of the things that we're going to add are like Mystical Tutor. Mm-hmm. It's 1 blue instant. Search your library for an instant or sorcery card and reveal that card. Shuffle your library and then put that card on top. So you're going to grab one of your X spells, and hopefully no one's playing a dimmer mill deck and gets rid of it before your draw step.
Right.
But yeah, so that's one way to grab it. Another way to grab some of our stuff would be like a Worldly Tutor. Super efficient.
Like if you have one half of a combo in hand, you can just go grab the other half.
Yeah. And you can be sneaky with it. Like you can kind of bluff and lean into your playing CEDH. So you're going to learn how to smooth talk and ease your way have a good poker face, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
You're going to learn how to poker face it pretty decent.
Mm-hmm. And then you also get access to like some cool stuff like Muddle the Mixture is pretty sweet, because with X spells, anywhere except the stack, X is treated as 0. So Muddle the Mixture, if you transmute it, you can grab Reshape or Finale of Devastation. And Muddle the Mixture also acts as like interaction as well if you already have the combo piece. So it's like...
it definitely is. It pulls double duty as a tutor and as a counter spell. So I like some interesting tech like Pull From Tomorrow, which is X and 2 blue. Instant, draw X cards, then discard a card. Being able to copy this is super good. I saw in some lists that when we were doing research, March of Swirling Mist.
Oh yeah,
is just good. Good tech for removing some threats on the board. It's quite a book, so I'll try and read it quick. March of Swirling Mist is X and a blue instant. As an additional cost to cast a spell, you may exile any number of blue cards from your hand. This spell costs 2 less to cast for each card exiled this way. up to X target creatures phase out.
Yep. So not only does this stop your opponents, but it can also protect your combos as well.
Yep. It's good. I've played it a couple times. I played it in Hinata, and it was super good. But yeah, I think that really wraps up this deck tech. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that this deck will probably sit around like a high 8, low 9. I mean, even creeping into like high 9s.
Yeah, it's just like any other like jank. I wouldn't say jank, but like it's on the jankier side of like CDH, where you're not going to be like full bore like I am consistently winning on turn 2 or 3. But it's a fun deck that can punch up.
Oh, 100%. But I think that we'll just have to wait for data to kind of show up and kind of tell us how it's performing.
Right. We've only seen this card at the time of recording for 24 hours. So there's still like a lot of time for brewing and
even new cards to come out from the Warhammer set that haven't even been spoiled yet.
Because if that's in the deck, then there's probably X spells, and we might see something like another variant of the X spell tutors.
Yep. No, I certainly agree. But yeah, that kind of rounds out this episode of the Mana Drain podcast. Yeah, you guys have been crushing it on YouTube, and Christian and I really appreciate it. It makes us want to keep doing this with seeing your guys' support with the likes. It always helps. And the comments, we love responding to you guys. We love interacting with you. I do want to give a huge shout out to Christian for editing and putting the videos together for y'all. He does an amazing job and does it all without payment, because I don't believe in that, but no, I'm kidding. But honestly, huge shout out to Christian. He does an amazing job. And if you guys could just leave a thumbs up on the video and tell us how we're doing, it'd be awesome. But that's all from us tonight. Have a good one.
See you.